Maverick News presents The Rick Walker Show. Defrag your mind.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Rick Walker. Welcome back to the Maverick News Channel. Sorry for the long intro. Once again, Rumble channel's not working, so I had to fix them on the fly as we went to go to air tonight. I apologize. And then, of course, you get the logo on my face because everything falls apart when we're trying to put the show on the air. We're here. I really wish they would fix or come up with a better system over there, quite frankly. So that's my message to Rumble tonight. Unbelievable. But we're here, and we are finally on the air. Frustrating. And it's a frustrating world. Dangerous world. We'll talk about the war in Israel, Palestine. We'll talk about that, and we will talk about RFK Jr. and his declaration today of independence, his new declaration of independence. He is running as an independent. He has left the Democrats. He's left the party of his family. And he's going to run for the presidency as an independent. So we'll touch on that tonight as well. Lots of stuff to talk about. So don't go away. We shall return right after this.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are Maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
It is difficult to know where to start with coverage of this situation in Israel and Palestine. It's horrific what is going on. People are being channeled to one side or the other. Pick a side. Who do you support? The politics runs deep. The history is extensive. And this is having an impact, of course, around the world tonight. With protests, counter-protests, and counter-protesters protesting and counter-protests to those protests all over the world. It is difficult for some, everyone really, to make sense of any of this. I'm seeing a lot of things online that I question. I'm reluctant to run a lot of things that I'm seeing because I'm not sure if they're real or if they're fabricated or exaggerated, because there is also a heavy propaganda element to everything that I'm running across tonight. So I can tell you that we do have a Canadian who died at that music festival. Where Hamas fighters came in and massacred people. I can tell you that media outlets are choosing their words carefully tonight. There is a leaked memo from CBC in Canada, which is directing their reporters and on-air personnel to not use the word terrorist when referring to Hamas. Protests all over the place, protests in Canada, in downtown Toronto. I'm just checking for the latest updates here as well, coming in on my feed. And language is important to describe things. It's interesting how, to me, this story is covered by journalists on various sides, two sides. It's interesting to me because some of the reporting doesn't seem to match the ideology or the political leanings of some of these journalists that are out there today. The ones supporting the Palestinian side, Palestinians who waged the initial attack against Israel, they tend to be on the left. And it just, on the surface, it doesn't seem to make sense for them to be over there, because Hamas, Hezbollah, they're pretty far right, pretty authoritarian, kind of fascistic. Here in the West, everyone's always concerned about anti-Semitism. How much more anti-Semitic can you get than wanting to wipe Israel off the face of the planet? Well, are you allowed to be opposed to Israel and not be anti-Semitic? How much more anti-Semitic can you get than going in and killing Jewish civilians? Very interesting. Very, very interesting. I just don't know. Things don't make sense a lot of the time, you know. So we do know that. Let's start with this Canadian who was killed at that music festival. Where are my notes on that one? Well, let's start with the protests. How about that? We have protests in streets all over the world. In Canada, in the United States. Here is a huge crowd today of pro-Palestinian protesters with a message that they're directing to Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Let's bring this up for you. So this is what we're getting because of a conflict thousands and thousands and thousands of miles away.
Palestine will be free. Palestine will be free. Justin Trudeau, you will see. Justin Trudeau, you will see. Palestine will be free. Palestine will be free. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated.
Sometimes another chant that I've heard quite often at rallies such as that is "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free." It means they want to wipe it off the face of the planet. Israel. My goodness. So what do I know tonight? Well, Israel is saying it has retaken control of its territory after that raid by Hamas fighters. Some people calling those fighters terrorists. So Israel's saying they've retaken control of the territory despite reports of ongoing fighting and new breaches of the border into southern towns. Now, as Israel is still in shock over the surprise attack, it has ordered a huge attack, a counterattack, a response, a full siege of Gaza. And they've been pounding that area with airstrikes. In addition, the IDF says it has called up 300,000 troops. And what we're expecting to see at some point very soon is a ground operation, which will make its way into the Gaza Strip. So there is support galvanizing. It has galvanized around Israel, and that rally for support internationally is being led, of course, by the United States. Also, of course, it is being driven by ongoing news reports about the mass hostage taking and news about the level of violence that we saw at that massacre at a desert music festival. We're also seeing now that Hamas is saying they are going to start killing hostages. For every act of retaliation leveled against Palestine from Israel. Effectively using those hostages as human shields. And it is interesting to me as well to see that journalists who have been very quick to call out other countries and other conflicts on accusations of war crimes don't do that with Hamas, Hezbollah. Different standard being applied. Just an observation. "11 Americans have been killed in this conflict already. We'll have a clip from President Biden, who is in Washington. There may be other Americans missing. More than 1,000 people so far have been killed in the fighting. At least 700 of them in Israel. Those numbers come from the Israeli military. And yes, Hamas today is threatening to start executing hostages if Israel bombs civilian houses in Gaza. So we've been following this for you. This is I would say, a major escalation of what I would say is already a third world war, because it factors into everything there. So here's the Canadian who died at that music festival. Bring it up. He's receiving this story receiving widespread media attention tonight, but I'm not sure how much this stuff resonates with the Canadian public or even the public around the world. Here's a National Post article in Canada. And there he is. This is Alexander Look. He grew up in Montreal. He was at this music festival and has been reported killed. It's possible 2 others may have taken hostage from that location. And according to his mother, in a Facebook post, she has confirmed that her son was killed and says he died a hero. A Montreal resident. This is escalating into something that is worldwide, really. And it's, I think we're in a situation where anything could happen. Look at the size of those protests. Even in Toronto, there was a huge protest in Montreal today as well. And the media response has been somewhat predictable based on the way news outlets have reported on these things before. You can sort of figure out which way a news outlet is going to go on this. So here's Paul Joseph Watson. And his take on the protests, the spillover, the effect this is having in other countries, Western countries. Just take a look at this.
Lesson that strikes a lot closer to home. Hamas's assault on Israel was characterized by a series of brutal attacks against innocent civilians. Young people and children just trying to live their lives who had nothing whatsoever to do with whatever Israel's done to Palestine. Toddlers in Israeli border towns kidnapped by militants. At least 260 partygoers dancing at a desert festival. Ambushed and slaughtered by Hamas terrorists who parachuted in. Others kidnapped, raped, left for dead. A young woman, 30-year-old German tattoo artist Shani Luke, paraded through the streets on the back of a pickup truck, half naked as some kind of sick trophy, as Palestinians cheered, celebrated, and spat on a corpse. But these scenes of joy and frivolity were also commonplace on the streets of major European cities. Hamas supporters in London reveling in the carnage. Same in Birmingham. Similar scenes in America turning violent. Migrants at a refugee camp in Greece waiting to be dispersed throughout Europe, celebrating the horror. And they call you intolerant for not wanting these people anywhere near your neighborhood. Suella Braven was scolded for saying multiculturalism had failed. Now we have entire communities on the streets of Western capitals gloating over terrorist attacks. If nothing else extinguishes the deadly myth of diversity being our strength. Will this? Sure, but have you considered importing a vast number of immigrants to bolster the GDP so that whenever an ethnic blood feud erupts, it becomes a flashpoint in every major Western city? I'm Warsaw, and for some reason they don't experience a rise in hate crimes or violence when terrorists attack innocent Israelis. Maybe diversity isn't a strength. What? I thought multiculturalism was about Turkish kebabs and chicken chow mein. You mean to tell me it's more than that? It's a grim reality that as a result of an ethnic blood feud 3,000 miles away, we're now going to have a series of terror attacks in the West, once again underscoring that the primary consequence of cultural enrichment is violence, hatred, and bloodshed. We'll return.
Violence begets violence. Here's a reporter from Al Jazeera. What happens here is she's doing a live hit with a Western news agency. Here we go. Check it out.
All right. Yumna, please take cover. If you are in a position to do so safely, you can explain to us what we're happening. If you are not in a position to do so safely, then please get to safety.
It's okay. This is a missile attack on Palestine Tower, right in the middle of Gaza City.
Yumna, take a moment to breathe. Take a moment, you and your team, take a moment to breathe, okay? Just take a moment as we are looking at this picture. We are hours into this war between Gaza and Israel, and we...
You know, it's what I've noticed about the way wars are covered. It's like, it's covered like not much different than a football game. Football is probably the closest sport, but if they cover it like sports, it's entertainment. Entertainment, that's what it is on many levels. And when reporters come under fire like that, put their lives on the line, ratings go up. Just like this.
And so we're having these little pieces of information trickle in about what the Israelis knew and what they didn't know. Get down, everyone. Next to the car, lay down flat. Everyone down, flat, cover your head. More rocket fire now, loud explosions coming off. Another time they're trying to overwhelm the Iron Dome again. I can see them coming off the Gaza Strip from multiple locations. Just pulling. Stay down, guys. Stay down. So they tried to do it again, tried to overwhelm the Iron Dome missile defense system, firing from multiple locations along the border. It sounded like a few of those slipped past. There were more rockets than explosions, indicating that it certainly wasn't a 100% success rate. Everyone okay? Yeah. Okay, stand up. Thank you. All right, we're gonna get up here. So this is just a constant scene here in the southern part of the Constantinople and John.
Yeah.
And it is the reality of how Hamas and Islamic Jihad are fighting this war.
I remember during the Gulf War, Canadian journalist Arthur Kent, who worked for NBC, became known as the Scud Stud. Entertainment. A lot of people will sit, watch this on the all news channels, eat popcorn. Well, people die. It's entertainment. Yeah. And then they saw ads around some of this stuff. All of it. There's that aspect to it, too. Just saying. Just saying. My God. Here's Joe Biden today. Secretary of State Antony Blinken. All right, here we go. Here we go.
Good afternoon. Today, the people of Israel are under attack, orchestrated by a terrorist organization, Hamas. In this moment of tragedy, I want to say to them and to the world and to terrorists everywhere that the United States stands with Israel. We will not ever fail to have their back. We'll make sure that they have the help that their citizens need and they can continue to defend themselves. You know, the world's seen appalling images. Thousands of rockets in the space of hours raining down on Israeli cities. When I got up this morning, started this at 7:30, 8 o'clock, my calls. Hamas terrorists crossing in Israel, killing not only Israeli soldiers, but Israeli civilians. In the street, in their home, innocent people murdered, wounded, entire families taken hostage by Hamas. Just days after Israel marked the holiest of days in the Jewish calendar. It's unconscionable. You know, when I spoke with Prime Minister Netanyahu this morning, I told him the United States stands with the people of Israel in the face of these terrorist assaults. Israel has the right to defend itself and its people. Full stop. There's never justification for terrorist attacks. And my administration's support for Israel's security is rock solid and unwavering. Let me say this as clearly as I can. This is not a moment for any party hostile to Israel to exploit these attacks to seek advantage. The world is watching. I've also been in contact with the King of Jordan, spoken with members of Congress, directed my national security team to engage with their Israeli counterparts, military to military, intelligence to intelligence, diplomat to diplomat. Make sure Israel has what it needs. I've also directed my team to remain in constant contact with leaders throughout the region, including Egypt, Turkey, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Oman, the UAE, as well as our European partners and the Palestinian Authority. It's also a terrible tragedy on a human level. It's hurting innocent people. Seeing the lives that have been broken by this, the families torn apart, it's heartbreaking. And Jill and I are praying for those families who've been impacted by this violence. We grieve with those who've lost their loved ones, lost a piece of their soul. We have hope for swift recovery for many who have been wounded. We're going to remain in close touch with Prime Minister. I personally am going to remain in close contact with Prime Minister Netanyahu as the situation continues to develop. And let there be no mistake, the United States stands with the state of Israel, just as we have from the moment the United States became the first nation to recognize Israel 11 minutes after its founding 75 years ago. Thank you very much.
What a mess. What a mess. The initial attack happening 50 years after that attack in 1973, the Yom Kippur War. 50 years. I was like 8 years old. I remember, even though I was only 8, reports about it and not understanding it. Still trying to sort things out in my head today. Today, Jewish groups in Canada are calling for an end to pro-Hamas rallies. They're saying celebrating Hamas-led Palestinian terrorists, these are their words, they're saying that it's not protesting these demonstrations in the street. So they've written an open letter to police chiefs in 4 of Canada's largest cities. They're calling for a zero tolerance approach to stop what they're describing as victory-style parties in the streets of Canada. Quote, Hamas is listed terrorist entity that is currently murdering, assaulting, and kidnapping dozens of children and civilians, said the strongly worded letter. These rallies are showing material support for a terrorist organization that has no respect for Canadian values. We, the undersigned, demand that these rallies in support of these heinous crimes be stopped. This is a matter of public safety. I'll show you the letter. I don't know how you guys would feel about this. Should these rallies be allowed? So let me just read it in full here for you. So this is from Maverick, Canada, and it's going to the chief of police in Toronto, the chief in Vancouver, Ottawa, and Montreal. It says urgent request to prevent the Palestinian youth movement's rallies planned for October 8th and 9th, which is yesterday and today. It says over the last 20 hours, Hamas terrorists backed by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps have invaded Israeli towns and villages in an unprecedented wave of terror. Hamas terrorists have shot Israeli civilians at point-blank range and taken dozens of Israeli children and civilians hostage. The footage is devastating. In one video, which has been authenticated by CNN, a barefoot and bloody Israeli teenager is pulled from the trunk of a Jeep by Hamas gunmen and then forced into the backseat of the car. In another video, a man and woman are kidnapped by Hamas gunmen at a concert for peace. Hamas's targeting of civilians in this manner is a clear violation of international law. World leaders, including those in Canada, the United States, and Europe, have expressed solidarity with Israel in response to these atrocious terrorist attacks. In this context, Canadian police services must take decisive action to keep its Jewish and Israeli communities safe. A group called Palestinian Youth Movement has advertised on social media that they are holding a series of rallies to support and celebrate these recent crimes committed by Hamas. The rallies are scheduled for October 8th at 2 p.m. It's yesterday. At Dorchester Square in Montreal, October 8th at 2 p.m. on Elgin Street, 9 p.m., 2 p.m., Vancouver Art Gallery, October 9th, Nathan Phillips Square, Toronto. Screenshots from the group's social media posts advertising these rallies are attached. Hamas is a listed terrorist entity that is currently murdering, assaulting, and kidnapping dozens of children and civilians. These rallies are showing material support for a terrorist organization that has no respect for Canadian values. We, the undersigned, demand that these rallies in support of these heinous crimes be stopped. This is a matter of public safety. Is it an issue of free speech? Is it hate speech? Where do you come down on this? Let's go to the comments in the chat. What do you guys think? Here's Curly May. I don't agree with either of them. War, no. Right. And see what else we have in here. James Staniforth says fake. I don't know. Fake what? Not sure, because I'm kind of scrolling backwards in the comments. So I'm not sure what that is we're referring to. What about over on Rumble? What are people saying in the chat in Rumble here? They're having one today at Mel Lastman Square at 7 p.m. So that's in 20 minutes, apparently. According to PDS. Someone, PDS saying no to NATO, no to war. Where's the democracy in Canada? Brent 1982 says, fight your own damn wars. This has nothing to do with America. In a way, that's true. And in another way, it isn't true, because it was the Allies who basically took that piece of land and gave it to the Jewish people to create Israel after World War II. And of course, now we have a lot of people from Palestine, a lot of Palestinians living right here in Canada. You're seeing many of them in the streets tonight. Not just in Canada, but in other Western countries around the world. With even Donald Trump expressing concern and weighing in on this. All politicians, it seems, are weighing in on it in one way or another. Let's see what Donald Trump has to say about this tonight. Pull up his Truth Social page. What do you have to say? Well, he's posting polls tonight, showing how great he is. Doesn't look, this is really much new from him today on this front. Not really. Apparently he has made some reference to the southern border, expressing concern that it's open, wide open, and could be a security risk for the United States because of the situation in Israel and Palestine, the war there, suggesting that there might be terrorists waiting to come in through the border on the southern side, Mexico. I don't know what he bases that on exactly. That was kind of where we were at today with Donald Trump. What else do I have to show you? Well, I don't want. See, there have been some horrific videos shown on social media. What's this one say? More to that story, says Curly May. Don't know what that means. And Curly May says Trump 150% backs Israel. Yes, that's true. Absolutely. And Jamie Staniforth says she was talking about Al Jazeera reporter. The scene in the background is a video. She is not in danger. See, that's entirely possible because, and I'm not taking a stand on it one way or another at the moment, but maybe we'll go back and take another look at it. This is what's making it difficult for me even tonight to tell you, just trying to decide what to show you guys, because I've seen stuff online that, again, to me, looks like it's probably fake. Here we go. Let's take another look at that video of the reporter. I don't know. Let's take a quick look here again. I've seen some stuff, though, that really I question. One video, most recent that I watched, was a woman who claimed to have worked for Israeli intelligence in the past. Said that there was no way they could have had the kind of intelligence failure that we're being told they had, because it's just so thorough, so extensive, so thick. But as I watched it, I thought, well, how do I know, first of all, that this person really ever did work for Israeli intelligence? How do I know that what this person is saying is actually true? It's just a person in a video. Even the background, the background in the video is not script. It's just sort of dark. And this woman is set talking, and I decided not to run it tonight because there's no way to verify if the person is who they claim to be. And even if they are, I'm not sure that the information they were conveying is accurate. There's just really no way to verify. But so many people just take that at face value and think that that's just absolutely true. I don't know if it is, but I have noticed a thing on social media. It's like every time there's any kind of a major news event, you get videos like that. We were getting a lot of it out of Hawaii. People posting videos, not clearly clickbait, clearly designed to jack people up. Some of it, I think, part of an actual psyop. But a lot of videos that really were not credible, fabricated in some way. And is this a fabrication? Well, you can decide tonight. Here, let's bring it up. Here. Running on this news site again, and oops. Let's bring it back up again. Here we go. You guys can decide, I guess. Okay.
All right. You know. All right.
That's interesting. You know, like stupid advertisement.
All right.
You saw the flash, the explosion first. Then you hear the rocket. Interesting. So depending on the direction that the rocket came from, I'd say that would be the way it would probably happen. The reason being, light travels faster than sound. So that appears to be authentic to me. At least the timing of the explosion.
All right. Yumna.
If this is a green screen of some kind, look for breakup around the edges of the reporter.
All right. Yumna, please take cover. If you are in a position.
I would say it's real. The reason I would say it's real is knowing what I know about the way video production works. Not a lot of it. Here's what's going on. There's no breakup on the edges of the image. None. It's all clean. So it doesn't appear to be a shot against a green screen for a chroma key, which is the same technology that they used in Star Wars. Of course, quite commonplace now in television and video production. You can get chroma key applications, software, for next to nothing, maybe even free today. But in this particular case, I'm seeing no breakup. If there's color bleed, if there is, sometimes you get a reflection off the green screen in the background, or sometimes they use blue. And if they do that, sometimes you'll get reflection off the background and you'll get like color bleed. You'll get like a green tinge or reflection on the subjects, on the back of the subject, which will bleed over onto the edge of the image around the person's body or the head area. Or you'll get artifacting, digitized edges quite often, especially when they move, as she does here when she moves off screen. Watch. but I'm not seeing any breakup at all. It's all clean on the edges. All clean. So why does it look the way that it looks? It looks this way because I would say she is standing, she's at a hotel. She's on, I don't know, maybe the 10th floor or something like that. And she's on a balcony. She looks well lit because she's well lit. What they've done is they've put her on the balcony, back to that building, which was hit by the missile. And they have a light set up behind the camera, shining down on to her. And everything is color balanced to daylight. They've got a blue gel on the key light in the back to match daylight color temperature. And I would say, yes, this is authentic.
All right. Yumna, please take cover. If you are in a position to do so safely, you explain to us what we're happening. If you are not in a position to do so safely,
Yes.
then please get to safety.
No, it's okay. This is a missile attack on
If you are not in a position to do so safely,
Yes.
then please get to
What's
safety.
that cut? That's
No.
a different,
No, it's
different
okay.
camera, different angle.
This is a missile attack on Palestine Tower, right in the middle of Gaza City.
Yumna, take a moment to breathe. Take a moment, you and your team, take a moment to breathe, okay? Just take a moment as we are looking at this picture. We are hours into this war between Gaza and Israel, and we
So I would say that's authentic. You may come to a different conclusion, but from what I see, doing a lot of video production over the years, working in television for a long time, that's the real deal. That's a real thing. Not everything we've been seeing is real. Like that woman who says that she was working for Israeli intelligence in the past. How could they possibly get through? I don't know. Videos like that are highly suspect with me because there's nothing in the background, which is completely nondescript, very close-up face shot. I won't show you the video because I'm not sure if it's authentic. So I don't really want the messaging spread when someone can't, well, when they don't even really fully identify themselves. So let me see here. Also, here's body cam footage of some kind of a Hamas fighter entering a home. I'm going to tell you, this is extremely graphic, so I'm going to try to stop it midstream here. I want to share it with you so you can see. They do shoot a dog. So beware. If I don't stop this in time, you are going to see a dog killed before they go into this home and set it on fire. And is this real? I would say yes, based on the way the animal is taken down. So watch yourself. I'm going to try and stop this. Here we go. Okay. We'll stop it there. I'm going to skip over this section where this dog is shot. I know it's going to be very troubling to people. Okay, it's out. Let me skip over. All right. All right, let's just pick up here where they go inside this house. I'm sorry to shock you like that. I know the irony, or it's not the irony, but what I have found is that over the years of doing news coverage, people react more strongly to dogs being killed than human beings. It's a fact. I could tell you some stories, personal stories about that. I don't think I'll ever understand human beings, which is maybe why, people care more about the dogs than the humans, because I think maybe sometimes dogs are more civilized. Just look at what we're doing to each other here tonight. Let's watch this.
My.
So we went to this home of this Jewish family. Go to the fridge and set this place on fire. Sorry. I almost ended up showing it to you anyway when it flipped around and looped. That's what's going on. And now hostages taken. If you're taking hostages, using them as human shields, is that not a war crime? And I understand the other side as well. Land taken from them, right? How do you fight back? Underdogs, victims. So that's the other side. And then this person in this video, who I said, I'm not sure if it's authentic or not, the accusation there is that Israel let this happen. Or maybe it's some sort of a false flag where Israel staged it, choreographed it. And I'm getting reports in from people that way as well. So cue the conspiracy theories. Why would Israel do something like that? Well, the answer being offered up is, of course, that Israel really wanted to launch this attack on Palestine. Do I believe that? I don't know what the heck to believe. I'm just telling you what people are saying. I'll tell you this, when I saw the videos of civilians being killed in the streets, that was too much. Too much, man. But those videos were promptly removed from Twitter. And they got in on gliders and by parachute. Here, let's take a look at this. This was during the initial attack. There we go. Here's a video showing widespread strikes in Gaza. Aerial footage. Here we go. Dozens of locations. My God. And let's take you into Toronto again for video footage of the rally in Nathan Phillips Square. Is this peaceful protesting, or is this hate speech, as B'nai B'rith would, I think, characterize it? And there's that chant I told you about, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. What do we know? We know that Iran backed these attacks. Enemy of Israel. Israel an enemy of Iran. And what does that chant mean? It means they will wipe it off the face of the map. Whose side am I on? I'm not on the side of peace. Way too much, this man. It's gone on for generations, all my life. This time feels different. They are describing this as an unprecedented attack, and I think that that's true. I think it is true. And it feels so different right now. Like, this is a flashpoint. This is not going to be over quickly. We're going to be watching this for at least weeks, probably months. I think even more dangerous, we're seeing countries around the world align, figuring out which side they're coming down on this. Who's supporting Israel? Who's supporting Palestine? Battle lines are being drawn, folks, and those battle lines are not just in the Middle East. They are here in North America, too. You're seeing them in the streets tonight. Paul Joseph Watson saying, expect terrorist attacks. Donald Trump saying the same thing here on domestic soil. As a result of this conflict, 3,000 miles away. I've said for, all my life, even since I was a kid, that when we bring people from other countries here, they're bringing with them their worldviews, their politics, their religions, their prejudices. In particular, in Canada, where we are a cultural mosaic, as I spoke about last night, when you bring people into the country and you don't ask them to assimilate and encourage them to keep their culture, it can be a real challenge, because not everyone has only love in their heart. And not everyone has the same lust for peace. A lot of people have just the opposite. They harbor it. They bring it with them. That's why B'nai B'rith tonight is concerned about public safety. I agree that it is a public safety issue. I don't know that I agree with them shutting down demonstrations. That's a problem. In a way, the demonstrations, I think, can be a way to let off some steam. And that can actually be a good thing, because it allows people to release their emotions. Here's a little more out of Toronto. Hang on a second here. And, I think people do have the right to protest. Are these actual protests? Or are they celebrations of war crimes? It depends on your point of view, doesn't it? God help us. Let's take a quick break. I got to clear my head, man.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Hey, how bad can it get? Well, check this out in Florida today. Wow. Here's more out of Tampa.
That's your boy! That's your boy! That's your boy!
And still more. Simchat, Florida.
I live in Palestine. Don't touch
What you gonna do? Let's
And here's a response from Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. He says the rallies in Tampa and Fort Lauderdale supporting Hamas are abhorrent. Hamas is a terrorist group that is dedicated to the destruction of Israel and commits atrocities to further that end. We are proud of the relationship between Florida and Israel and remember well the support we received from the IDF following the Surfside Tower collapse. Florida stands with Israel as it faces one of its greatest challenges. Yeah. But, you look at the, say the alternative media, independent media, and there is unwavering, overwhelming support for Palestine. There has been, for a long time, sort of people on the left and here's a guy trying to set an Israeli flag on fire. Also in Florida. Check that out. On the top of the car, not having much luck setting it on fire. But there it is. Protest. Protest. Man. I'm just going to take a quick break. I'm just going to check a couple of other things. When we come back, I'll just share those things with you, and then we're going to move on to other news. Okay, so stay with me. I'll be right back.
The New World Order. Government overreach. The Great Reset. Mainstream media lies. Now more than ever, independent voices are needed. Donate now at freedomreporters.com. That's freedomreporters.com. Maverick News. The antivirus program for your mind.
Fear not the storm, for truth is on our side. Maverick News. The world is watching.
So here's a clip from Jimmy Dore, right? On NATO. Let's just listen to this.
United States military and NATO. And if you look around the globe, well, I just think that the world's terrorist is the United States military and NATO. And if you look around the globe, there's over 800 military bases for the United States and NATO, and they're building more and more. We've surrounded China and Russia, and the aggressors is obviously NATO and the United States. And we're the only country that's ever been proven to use nuclear weapons. And the people who run our military industrial complex are bloodthirsty maniacs who have killed millions of people over the last 2 decades and displaced millions and millions more for economic lust. And that's what that's what Ukraine war is about. That's what China's about. That's what Syria was about, Libya, Iraq, Afghanistan. It's all about an upward transfer of wealth from the tax space to the military-industrial complex and the international security state, and then, of course, fossil fuel companies. That's what this is about. That's why we're selling more liquefied natural gas right now. That's why we blew up that pipeline. That's what this is all about, and that's what. And Russia just doesn't want Ukraine to be put into NATO. That's the only demand. And they said, "Go pound sand. We're not going to give you that because we want you to invade Ukraine. We want this war. This is how we make money, and this is how all empires end, by the way. And this is how we're ending. We're starving our own people at home while we do these military adventures overseas, and we're not stopping."
Interesting. I don't know. But when it comes to Israel, Palestine, some of the stuff seems to get blurry. The ideologies, the conviction, ideologically seems to blur. But I think that's because the old labels don't quite apply. When you're looking at the way, whether people are consistent on the issue, see, it seems on the surface a lot of people who take a position, it's not consistent. When they come down on one side or the other, if they come down on the side of Palestine, it doesn't seem consistent with the political ideology overall. But I'll say that in many cases, well, it appears that way. It is because the old labels don't quite apply. People don't quite understand. The weird thing about this is that, it's because I think, you have to think of Israel more as being on the globalist side, because they're, of course, a product of the New World Order. They are a product of what came after World War II. They are a product of the West. NATO created it, right? And then on the other side, you've got the opposite of the globalists, or do you? Because the globalists, we're told, are fascists, right? But I say, no, they're globalists. They're a hybrid communo-fascistic authoritarian organization trying to form an international one world government. On the other side, you have fascists, Hamas, Hezbollah, very fascistic. But how can that be, Rick? How can they be fascists? And how can they be fascists? How can they be communists? And how can they be communists? It's because things blur. The old labels don't really quite apply. And fascism, Nazism even, it's not predicated on prejudice of the Jews. It's an ideology that has, a specific approach to economics and to a system of governance. And Nazism, fascism, uses scapegoating. It doesn't necessarily have to be a Jew. It can be other groups as well. It could be the unvaccinated, for instance. It could be. And just because one side is fighting another side, it doesn't mean they have to be polar opposites either. They can have a lot of similarities. It's really just a struggle for power and money at any given time, land. So things sometimes just don't make sense. America, Canada, we were sort of different for a while. At least I believe we were. We were the new world, not the New World Order. We were the new world. That's why people left Europe and Asia, or wherever they left. People came here to get away from all of that. They came here for freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of religion. They came here to find escape from persecution. And many found it when they arrived in America. What do you think the pilgrims were here for? Many people came here to get away from the tyranny, get away from the horrors, the wars. And for a long time, we were insulated by the oceans, you know. A world away, a new world. It used to take a long time to get here on a ship with sails. Yeah, there were wars when we arrived, our ancestors from Europe. And certainly nothing perfect. That's why people came here. And for a while, we seemed to be in a place where people could escape the horrors of the past in Eurasia. But no, we're back. We're back. We've imported those problems. We've embraced those problems again. The people in charge have hijacked our government, have hijacked our systems, our institutions. They've captured them, you know. So now those problems are here again, but now they're here on this soil. The problems are being debated in the streets. Protesters, even some violence, as you saw in Florida. And as this drags on, this conflict, expect to see more of those kinds of demonstrations. Expect to see more emotion. This conflict is not going to be over quickly, not this time. It definitely has a different tone to it, a tone that we've not seen in a long time. And this is very dangerous because we are still involved in that war in Ukraine. Now we have this erupting in the Middle East, battle lines being drawn, countries, all countries taking sides, aligning themselves one way or the other. And it's pretty clear the alliances are being drawn down the economic lines. The BRICS nations over here, the Western NATO nations over here. The nations over here on the Western NATO side, of course, trying to protect the US dollar as the world reserve currency and preserve the United States' economic dominance globally. On the other side, an emerging multipolar geopolitical reality, a new reality. It's all tied together. And then the accusations of this being Israel's 9/11. Conspiracy theory. Did Israel actually just let this happen? Or did Israel stage it? I don't know. I doubt they staged it. It's too extensive. It's too broad, too deadly. But the other thing that I'm seeing is a rise in anti-Semitism right here in North America. And that rise in anti-Semitism is cloaked in language, carefully chosen words. I'm not even going to run you the clips that I've seen online. 99.999999% of the people watching these clips from prominent media influencers, live streamers, 99.99999% of the people won't even get it. They won't see that they're actually being directed, channeled, led around by the nose with very carefully chosen words to eventually reach a place of prejudice. but it's there because they can't come right out and say it. They just can't. Not what they really mean, because they'll get their butts banned like that. So they soften up the language and they kind of close. I don't know. Maybe another night I'll get into it in more detail, but it's definitely there, folks. Beware. Beware. And it weaves its way through other things that you get involved in, the politics, especially the politics, the activism. And what ends up happening too is because the language is murky and sort of everything sort of gets flipped upside down in this strange propagandistic social media frenzy that's taking place, people don't even realize that they are being sort of indoctrinated into a way of thinking that actually runs contrary to what they really think they're following. I will talk about it another night in more depth. But even then, I have to be careful what I say, because some words you're just not even allowed to use these days. You get banned on social media. Yeah. And our leaders, they're not leaders. Well, I guess they're authoritarians. But here's Anthony Blinken is being criticized for a tweet that he published where he pushes Israel and Hamas to work out a ceasefire, which surprises me. Why would he tweet that? And well, I don't know, but he took it down quickly. For a guy who I would characterize as really kind of a warmonger, he surprises me with a tweet like that. But here it is. Here's the New York Post that actually came up with that story first, I believe. They're the originators of it. Ryan King, the reporter, says Secretary of State Anthony Blinken caused an uproar over the weekend with a since-deleted social media post in which he encouraged a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. Blinken said in the Sunday message that he encouraged Turkey's push for a halt to the fighting just as Israel began responding to Saturday's large-scale attack by the Palestinian terrorist group that left hundreds of Israeli citizens dead. Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan and I spoke further on Hamas terrorist attacks on Israel. This is a quote from Blinken. I encourage Turkey's advocacy for a ceasefire and the release of all hostages held by Hamas immediately. Blinken's post came one day after the U.S. Office of Palestinian Affairs tweeted, then deleted another controversial post arguing for a halt to the violence. And there you see his post. Right there. Now deleted. Seen 2.8 million times, apparently. Yeah. Man. So I guess he can't make up his mind. Blinken, does he want a ceasefire or not? Puts it up, takes it down. I guess it was for about 12 hours. Now it's no longer there. What does that say? I'm not exactly sure. What does that tell us? I don't know. Ceasefire would be a good idea, though. That's a good start. Stop killing each other. That's a good start. Well, probably enough about this tonight. It's going to be with us for a while. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk about RFK Jr. leaving the Democrats. Adios, DNC.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
The New World Order. Government overreach. The Great Reset. Mainstream media lies. Now more than ever, independent voices are needed. Donate now at freedomreporters.com. That's freedomreporters.com. Maverick News. The antivirus program for your mind.
And you know, for our Canadian viewers and for everyone around the world, this is an interesting development here recently. We've seen a realignment politically just in the last, well, month or so, with Muslims aligning with what we're being told is Christians. We saw them come together for that Million March for Children. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people took to the streets to protest, bringing together Muslims and Christians. I'll put it to you that yes, there were Christians there, and yes, we're being told it's the unification of Christians and Muslims, and I suppose you can characterize it that way, but I don't quite see it that way. I see the Muslims participating in that, really aligning with the political movement, the populist political movement, the freedom movement in Canada. Not so much just Christians. There are Christians that are part of that, but it's the freedom movement or the populist political movement in the country. That is what has joined forces. Not so much about religion, but it is about that one particular issue. Now, you take that alliance and you overlay this conflict now with Palestine and Israel, this war. And I'll tell you right now that you have a powder keg brewing with those guys, the populists, now bolstered by Muslim support in Canada on the one side. And then on the other side, you have the government, the neoliberal woke crowd, the progressives, the cultural Marxists on that side. So you have that neoliberal, far left wing, even far left extremists on that side. Neoliberal woke group. On the other side, Muslims, freedom movement. You can go even further to the right. Keep going. And there are elements of that in there too. Anti-Semitism even. Some of that is finding its way in there with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. So you're combining all of this on the other side, you're seeing polarization. And then you're seeing now, just even before this situation in Israel, Palestine erupted again, exploded, literally. Justin Trudeau came out and said that the Muslims who are following or joining forces with the freedom side, they're victims of Russian Putin propaganda. So within that aspect of things, when you look at that going on, you can see this dangerous polarization within our own communities. Now you're seeing demonstrations in the street today with people upset about what's happening in the Middle East, Israel, Palestine. You see these Hamas supporters celebrating and calling for more action, supporting Hamas, denouncing Israel. There's another Million March for Children coming up, I believe on the 21st of this month. I'm a little worried about this one. There were concerns about the last one because we also saw Canadian unions come out in support of Antifa counter-protesters who have been always supportive of the neoliberal woke side, which many people, and even strangely, it seems government, Justin Trudeau's regime then, by extension, and the NDP, who continue to prop up the liberal, neoliberal, fascistic government, communo-fascistic government, globalist government in Canada. Globalists on the government, neoliberal woke side. The other side, freedom movement, Muslims, Muslim communities, probably not every flavor of Muslim out there is involved, but certainly certain groups from within the Muslim communities, and enough support all the way around there to get hundreds of thousands of people into the street. And we see freedom protests, a convoy yesterday downtown Toronto, well, around Queen's Park. I don't know how many police cars. They blocked the whole area off again to prevent what? Well, they must have had some sort of intelligence to say that there was some sort of a threat. And we saw some freedom fighters go down there waving flags, just a handful. Videos up, talking to the cops. I just in that one little video, there had been like 50 cop cars just in that one section. And they had the whole area blocked off again. Nothing happened. But you had the protest at Nathan Phillips Square, which is not there, but not too far. And then that area blocked off and freedom fighters down there. Now, I know also you've got this Million March for Children coming up again on the 21st. And you've got these trucks, people. I don't know how many are left, but they're saying it's going again. And I don't know. There are more protesters up in Ottawa sitting outside the city and then walking every day down into the Parliament Hill area to protest, and they're keeping it peaceful. Some arrests made and all of that after the revelations that came from Veterans for Freedom releasing their video, secret recording with the plan, with the violence. I'm telling you, man, you've got a powder keg on your hands. I don't know what's going to come of all this, but you overlay now this polarizing issue of the Middle East, Israel, anti-Semitism, Hamas, Palestine. Who's the victim? Do you see how this all comes together? And it's very volatile. We're already seeing some violence in some U.S. cities over this. It's not very Canadian, but it's coming down near you, namely Ottawa and Toronto, especially in Montreal, where we've seen these demonstrations up and running in full force this weekend, this Thanksgiving weekend in Canada. I just pointed out it's like a perfect storm coming together. in many respects. I just hope that somehow cooler heads prevail and that we are able to keep the peace. That is never easy. And in a multicultural society like Canada, you inject death, war, this kind of conflict into the conversation. It's really, really tough to keep the peace. Clearly, as I said before, diversity is not Canada's strength, nor is it the strength of the United States. Diversity is, without question, our challenge.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
I'm back. Curly May says the storm is coming. Yeah. Jamie says it's a recipe for disaster. Yeah. What else is there in here in the chat? Just taking a look in there. Thank you for commenting, folks. Appreciate it. I think there was one up here about me. Let's see where we can find it. I don't know where it went. I guess it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I just wish we could find a way forward in peace. So what about RFK Jr.? Well, he made a major announcement today in Philadelphia. He has left the Democrats and is going to take a, oh, there it is. There's that comment. There's Steve. Hey, Steve, Rick is not a professional news guy. He rambles on about hearing himself talk. Thanks. Love you too, man. Yeah, so RFK Jr. taking a run presidency now as an independent. What will that do to the race? How will that affect things? Well, he says that it's time for you to declare your independence. Declare your independence. Here he is in Philadelphia making the big announcement earlier today.
We declare independence from these corrupting powers because they are incompatible with the inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness that the people who sat in that hallway ratified for us in 1776, 1787. Now we can guard life. How can we guard life when the for-profit corporations have captured the public agencies that are supposed to protect us? How can we enjoy liberty? The surveillance state seeks to hide the truth and to quash dissent. And how can we pursue happiness when debt and low wages imprison so many of our nation's families? And so I've come here today to declare our independence from the tyranny of corruption, which robs us of affordable lives, our belief in the future, and our respect for each other. But to do that, I must first declare my own independence. Independence from the Democratic Party, and from all other political parties. I haven't made this decision lightly. It's very painful for me to let go of the party of my uncles, my father, my grandfather, and both of my great-grandfathers, Honey Fitzgerald, and Patrick, who was the first Irish Catholic ghetto mayor of Boston, and Patrick Kennedy, who was a ward boss in Boston. Both of them launched our political dynasty over 100 years ago. But my sacrifice is nothing compared to the risk our founding fathers took when they signed the Declaration of Independence 247 years ago. They knew that if their revolution failed, every last one of them would be hanged. They chose to place everything on the line. When John Adams put his pen down after adding his signature to the Declaration, he turned to those present and he said to them, sink or swim, live or die, survive or perish. From this day on, I am with my country. I'm going to make that same pledge to you today, so that I can stand before you as every leader should stand before you, free of partisan allegiance, free from the backroom deals, servant only to my conscience, to my Creator, and to you. Today we turn a new page in American politics. There have been independent candidates in this country before, but this time is going to be different because this time the independent is going to win.
Maybe. What do you guys think? Oh, and here's Joe. Only 16 people watching today. Very soon, nobody, Rick Walker. Thank you, Joe. Do we only have 16 people watching this channel? Or watching what we're doing today, Joe? Joe doesn't like RFK Jr. He says even Dems don't like him. Okay. Well, it's always tough to run as an independent, but he does represent a populist movement. He's not a Democrat, not in the current sense, and he's not a Republican, not in the current sense. So it is, I think, pretty appropriate for him to run as an independent. He's a little late to the game, but better late than never, and he still has time, just over a year to get it done. And he seems to have some momentum. He is building polls, still a long way behind Donald Trump, but it is something that is achievable. He has a year, 1 month. What else did he talk about in his speech today? Well, he said that the political parties right now are set up and designed. They have campaigns designed to make us hate each other. I think there's some truth to that, of course. Talked about real issues, like tangible issues, like the destruction of America's infrastructure, roads, Even the article grid, I think, would fall into that. Talked about growing mental health problems, depression, other health issues, addictions. Talked about inequality of wealth. That's a kind of a socialistic message that he carries forward. I think he is of that persuasion politically. Talks about reclaiming freedom and independence. Talked about a new Declaration of Independence. That's what he brought forth today. A new Declaration of Independence for the American people. In times past, back in 1776, something like that, as he indicated there, was enough to get you hanged. It was an act of treason, unless you're successful, in which case you take over the government. And he took a lot of pages away, right out of Donald Trump's playbook, rephrasing them in some cases. Trump refers to the fake news or fake media. He referred to the media today as mercenary media, the mainstream media, the mercenary media. Trump talking about the elites, he calls them cynical elites. And then straight up, the same language that Trump uses, rigged system. And he says that the system as it stands right now, with the parties the way they are, everything that represents is incompatible with inalienable rights. Rights that he insists he is ready to restore. I watched a speech with Donald Trump today, though. And, Trump, very similar language. There was a guy who came in, was presented to us as someone who was supposed to drain the swamp, fix everything. One guy against the whole system, going to take it all down. And today in the speech, he said that he would not allow anyone to take away the rights of the people. He said he would never let us down. And yet when I look at what happened, he said the same things. When he ran the first time, became president. And look at what happened. In reality, the pandemic hit, and what happened? People's rights were taken away. Even his rights were taken away. He couldn't even protect himself. Now, I don't know. I still like Trump. We have to be realistic about this stuff. It makes me wonder, can RFK Jr. really do any better? Can one guy change everything? Can one president, an independent president, an outsider, again, we're presented with someone who's being presented to us as an outsider. Can one man, one outsider make that much of a difference? Can he really fight against the system and win? Make me wonder. He had to leave the DNC. I said when he first started running that he was with the wrong party. And I said the only way he can win the nomination is take the party over, which is what Donald Trump did with the Republicans. Donald Trump is the Republican Party now. He heads that up. Now you have your rhinos, and they're still there, but he controls the party. The MAGA movement controls that party. RFK Jr. had to do the same with the Democrats, but wasn't able to do it. I don't think he realized that that's what he would need to do. And so he had to leave the party just to remain a viable candidate. Give him a chance to actually survive this and maybe become president. If he wants to run, he's doing it as an independent. But it makes me wonder, if you can't change your own party, how are you going to change the whole system? How are you going to fix everything as president? I guess the answer is, once you're president, you have a certain amount of power, a whole lot of power. And if you know how to use it, then maybe you can actually affect change. Trump got the power, but was able to affect the change to the degree that that people were hoping. Don't know. I don't know. I guess all you can do is vote and hope. I do believe that the system is still viable. I still believe that, as I said today, I think this does represent an opportunity for Americans to finally make real, meaningful change, to give the middle finger to the system, to the establishment, to the elites. A class struggle, to be sure. Is he the guy? I'm still not endorsing any one candidate. I'm still watching, assessing. But the two main guys, Trump and RFK Jr., as far as I'm concerned, Joe Biden, while I'm not endorsing a candidate, I'm sure as heck not supporting him, nor will I. So, hate to be negative, but sorry, Joe. Sorry, just not going to happen. And okay, and so Joe said even Dems don't like him. So I thought that he didn't like RFK Jr. I don't know if that's what I'm referring. He says, I never said that, Rick Walker. And then he says, don't twist my words. Okay. Don't mean to. So I'll run your whatever you're saying here. And he says, I'm still Canadian, Rick Walker. Okay. Me too. I'm still Canadian, Joe. Me too. I am. All right, what time is it? It's coming up on 8 o'clock. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll go to the phones. How about that? You guys can comment on anything you want tonight, which is kind of what we do anyway. Even when I set a specific topic, you guys always call in and just talk about whatever you want to talk about. So who am I to stop you? Here we go. I'll be right back.
The New World Order. Government overreach. The Great Reset. Mainstream media lies. Now more than ever, independent voices are needed. Donate now at freedomreporters.com. That's freedomreporters.com. Maverick News, the antivirus program for your mind.
We are Mavericks. We say no to the Trudeau and Biden New World Order. And to bugs. Because bugs are creepy and gross. And people should not eat bugs. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay. Almost ready to go here. Just have to punch in some more numbers to get the phone lines set up. There we go. Okay, and here's the number to call. Call now, call often.
Join the conversation. Call 1-833-975-3733. That's 1-833-975. Free. Speak up. Speak out. Make voice heard. Maverick News. Fighting for freedom by defending your right to free speech. Be a Maverick. Join us.
Okay, I'm back. And you can support the show at maverickdonations.com or at freedomreporters.com. Please like, share, subscribe on our secondary YouTube channel, which is where we are still broadcasting until we get our main YouTube channel back. Are we even run on YouTube tonight? I don't know if we are. I think we are over here. Yes, I think. Yeah, we've got the YouTube thing running over there. All right, so we're on YouTube. Please subscribe to our Rumble channels. That's where we're growing the most. And of course, we're across Facebook as well. Although they took down our Maverick News page in Canada. So crippled us there as well. But we persevere. We keep carrying on. We're doing the best we can with what we've got. FreedomReporters.com. And we will rejuvenate. We will come stronger than ever from all of this censorship. We find ways to work around it. You can also visit our website at mavericknews.ca. And we will restore the feed over there as well to get new stuff up. We've got, some of the back catalog available right there, over there right now. So you can watch previous programs, and we'll restore the live feeds to that website very soon. FreedomReporters.com. You can call in, join the show. We'll put the number up on the screen for you. Toll free at 1-833-975-3733. 1-833-975-3733. Let's go to our first caller of the night. And let me get this up on the screen so everything's configured properly. And we are ready to rock and roll. Who do we have in the line tonight?
Yo, Rick, it's your favorite person out there, man.
How you doing tonight, Mr. Mouth of the South, the man without plan?
I'm going to cheer you guys up with a couple little jokes. What do you call gay rabbi? Blue. Okay, what's the left wing of Hezbollah called? He blew ya instead of Hezbollah.
Oh, okay. Am I allowed to laugh at these? Or is it?
Or you could laugh at them. Sure, you're on Rumble. You can laugh
I
at
guess
anything.
so. Oh my God. Okay. Oh.
So here we go with what is it today? Israel and Hezbollah, isn't it?
Hamas.
The same
Yeah.
thing?
Well, two different groups.
Hezbollah is Lebanon.
Yeah. Yeah. But they're involved too.
But they're next on the list.
They're
next on the list.
Involved. They're involved. Absolutely. Iran, Hezbollah, Hamas, of course, the one at the forefront. That's the one, the group that the mainstream media is focusing on as the adversary here to Israel. But I think Hezbollah is definitely linked to this as well.
But you know what's sad is that America and Canada became the Trojan horse. Okay, they let a lot of people into this country that support Hezbollah and Hamas and the rest of them, right? And they're here in this country.
They are.
If you look at Dearborn Heights, Michigan, which I can from my house,
yeah.
Okay, look at Dearborn Heights, Michigan. It's got the most heavily populated Arabic Muslim community in all of North America.
Yep.
Because Dearborn Heights has more Muslims than what Windsor has in population, over 300,000. And we have a huge, right here in Windsor, Ontario. It's huge.
It is.
You can ask Anstey. The neighborhood we live in, we are the minority. Okay? And I'll tell you, there's a lot there's a lot of pro-Palestinian people in this area, buddy.
I'm aware. I know.
And that's a scary thing. Okay? I'm not for either one of them. I could care less, really. They've been at it forever.
I mean, it's just, I just wish they would learn to live in peace. I'm not Palestinian. I'm not Jewish. I know the history. I had no control over any of it. I just, all my life, I've just seen the conflict, and I have, knowledge of it. I understand some of it. I don't care. I just want them to live in peace. That's all I want.
Right, and they haven't been able to achieve that. I guess it's been going on for over 100 years, 120 years, buddy.
Yeah.
Okay, it's been going on a long time. I'm 53 years old. My whole life has been nothing but Israel conflict and everything else around Israel. Right?
Mm-hmm.
They got a hard on for who? Iran.
Yeah.
Okay, and who's Iran partnered with? Oh, Russia.
That's right.
Right. So we could be on the verge of something very serious here, guys. Really.
This time, yes.
And right here in our own country, the melting pot's ready to boil over.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I feel it. I could feel it in the air. I really, in my bones.
Yeah. Me too.
Okay. And these protests that are going to start popping up now, they're going to be bigger than anything you ever seen.
Yep.
Because now you got a bunch of different factions. Okay, not just we're not going to just get protests with over what's going on in Gaza. Okay, they're going to start protesting with the Save the Children, the envoy. Okay, it's going to get ridiculous, buddy.
Yes, and I mean you can see how the politics is lining up here too, right? So you have Trudeau, pro-globalist, pro-Israel, right? Then and just before this coming out now, and where he used to be aligned and would go to the Muslim community to get support and votes because they've aligned with the Million March for Children, he's now criticizing them, saying that they're being led astray by Russian propaganda. And they're aligning themselves now with the freedom movement and the Million March for Children. And, you see this polarization happening with this whole group of Muslims and Muslim communities breaking away from the liberal, the liberal party that support is now being detached. And you combine this war now, what's just previously happened, and that's going to just finish at the process of ripping those Muslim communities away from the liberals. And you get them into the streets protesting, man. This is a volatile situation because we've seen hundreds of thousands of people out there with that Million March for Children. You get the freedom movement combined with that. They're clearly very opposed to the government, and some people are really ready to go to pretty extreme lengths to get Justin Trudeau out of there. I don't know. Well, this doesn't feel good, especially when you're seeing violence already erupting in the streets down in the States. It's coming here, man.
When the Muslims, don't mind dying for their cause because they got 21 virgins waiting for them at their whatever gate it is up there. Okay. They don't mind. They practice their whole life. This is part of their religion. Okay. Is die for their religion. Mm-hmm. And they will go to any extreme. Watch. Okay. The first one to throw a stone, who knows who it'll be? I don't think it'll be the non-boy. It'll be the pro-Palestinians and Hezbollah and those guys, right? I'm gonna step back from calling them terrorists. They're not terrorists because if I lived in Palestine, okay, and somebody dropping bombs on my house and you killed my family, guess what? I got it out for you the rest of my life for 100 years, 1,000 years. Okay? And that's what's going on, right? They got hard on for the Israelis, and they should.
Yeah,
but the Israelis have been the ones.
But I cannot sit here and pretend that I didn't see civilians in the streets of Israel, massacred, like just people, not soldiers, right? You
would think that over time would prove something, right? Why hasn't Israel seriously sat down and had a real conversation with what's going on in Gaza? They control the power, they control the gas, they control the water, they control it all from Israel. With a flip of the switch, they shut it off. Okay, and they're doing this forever. Okay, Israel don't want peace. They wanted peace. They would have sat down. They wouldn't have put up everything that they have. You're conscripted at the age of 18 if you're Israeli to do what? Join the military. mandated, like South Africa.
Well, I hear
There's a reason for that, right?
Again, I hear the rhetoric on both sides. It's gone on for decades and decades, all my life.
Oh,
and I mean,
mine too.
You talk to this person, they have one point of view. You talk to that person, they have another point of view, and it's you're in a very difficult position. So RFK Jr. saying he's going to bring peace, and yet he's coming out. Even he's taking a hard stance on this, 100% supportive of Israel, and losing support from people on the populist side as a result of that. So I don't know, man. All I can say is, like, I don't care how you do it. I've just come to this conclusion.
The status quo, the free world's always going to take Israel's side. Okay, if you're part of the free world, I'm saying that with a weird voice. Okay, the free world, it's really not free, but countries like Britain, Canada, United States, the Netherlands call themselves free. Everywhere else, anybody that calls themselves, they have to take that stance with Israel, because Israel calls themselves free. Now, the ones that are under sanctions, so North Korea, Iran, and the rest of them, there's a long list of that going on too. Who are they going to stand with? They're going to stay against the word free, right, in the free world. And that's where it's going to go rough right there. I just hope they just keep it clean, okay? And I mean keeping it clean by no biological or nuclear weapons.
Don't know, man.
Because once that happens, it's game over for everybody, right?
Don't know, Leo.
And, I don't either. It's scary time, scarier than it was last month, I'll tell you. And for the convoy, shit, this couldn't play out any better for them. That's really. Right. Yeah. Because now they're going to get their million people in the streets. It ain't the million people that I'm going to be standing with, or I would be standing with. Yeah. I'm going to stay neutral. Even on the Save the Children, I'm going to stay neutral, because you know what? I can smell the shit ready to happen, buddy. Yeah. And it only took one firecracker. And once the firecracker goes off, a lot of heads are getting cracked.
Well, we'll see what happens there.
It ain't going to be mine.
Isn't it interesting how everything always seems to just kind of flow together and come through a funnel at just the right time, almost like it's planned or something, right?
It's like the perfect storm. Like I said, the convoy, you couldn't ask for a better time for them. Did they know something that we didn't know?
Kind of weird.
I don't know. It is weird. It's, it's really, really, really weird. So it is what it is. I just hope for peace for everybody out there, but, we're not going to see that for a while. This ain't going to be a 3-day or 3-week-old deal, okay? As soon as they step into the holy grounds of Syria, Assad, okay, because there's no way of getting to the place called Lebanon without going through a place called Golan Heights, which is part of Syria, part of Lebanon. Yeah. And once you go into there, it's game on. The Syrians, they don't mess around either. Okay, they got nothing to lose. Really, they don't. Yeah. So hopefully world peace, but there is going to be a lot of news coming, that's for sure. If you're a news junkie, this is the time to be alive.
Yeah, it's not very happy news right now. Kind of depressing.
It is. Make the best of it. Just be glad where you're at, right? Put yourself in their position.
But did you enjoy your Thanksgiving? That's the question.
Yeah, I very much I did. I did. Right now, I picked 5 gallons of hot peppers, jalapenos, the red cherry bomb, Carolina Reapers, ghost peppers, a whole variety of them. I got 5 gallons of them. I'm boiling them down right now. Excellent. Gonna make some hot sauce. So, yeah, my Thanksgiving went well. How about yours?
Oh, yeah. Family time. I saw my parents and ate some turkey. So.
Yeah. Me and the wife she showed me something on social media. Actually, somebody in our group sent me a photograph of what they paid for a turkey. It was a 13-pound turkey, 7-point-something kilograms. They paid $69 for it. Well, you got to be joking me. And then another one in BC was $120 for a 14-pound turkey is what they paid.
Oh,
Unbelievable.
I had
She
no
paid
idea.
$23 for ours, and it was ours was 7-point-something kilograms. So that's 14 pounds. She paid $23 for it. $28, $2 a pound.
Wow.
Right. And then next week is U.S. Thanksgiving, and she'll be back in the States, and she's going to for sure grab turkeys over there, right? Because over there you get them for 89 cents. Right. So it is what it is. People are getting gouged. You know, they can say, oh, there was a recall on turkey, shortage of turkey. So you want turkey, you're going to pay.
Inflation.
That's a bunch of turkey, if you ask me. Yeah, inflation, gouging, right? Shortage of turkeys. But hey, we got turkeys, but you're going to pay $120 for a turkey. And that's crazy times we're in. But
well,
and as for Joe saying you only have 9 people watching, Joe, come on over to Rumble, subscribe, and like the page because there's over 300 watching over there tonight.
Yeah, 325, 327. Anyway, it's okay. Joe can stay over on YouTube if he wants. You know, the reason it's not that many is it's our secondary channel, right? So we don't have many subscribers over there. I'm not running on the main YouTube channel still. We'll get it back.
I couldn't even find your YouTube channel. I couldn't even find your YouTube channel. So Rumble's becoming natural to me now. It's more natural than YouTube all day long, right? So, yeah. As for Joe, that's why you're only going to see 3 or 4 people or 10 people over there because
I've kind of given up on
we've all made the jump.
I've kind of given up.
Yeah, we've all made the jump. Yeah, don't give up on it yet. There could be, you know what? It could change. It could go back to normality. I highly doubt it, but you know, who knows?
Hope so.
Oh,
all right. We'll move
was that
on.
me?
Thank you, Leo. Appreciate it.
All righty. Thanks, Rick.
All right. See you, man. Okay, Pam, you're up.
Hello?
Hello. How are you tonight?
Rick?
It's
I'm
Hi, Pam.
fine.
It's me. Oh, hey.
I'm fine. Hey, Richard. Are you there?
I'm here. I've got both of you on the line, actually. Leo's still there.
Hi, Pam. How are you? How are you tonight, Pam?
My fellow soldier comrade. Hello, militia man. I'm a militia chick and a Reg Force woman. But hello to you. I always admire what you write in the chat.
I just try and be funny. I try and spice it up, right? It's more humor than anything, right? That's what the chat's all about.
Well, I'm glad you're on still because we're both former soldiers, and I thought I had a good idea tonight and tried to add some levity because I've been watching everything going on because some of my guys were sent to the Gaza Strip back in the 70s. One came back with a big stab wound in his belly, but he survived. And but anyways, I'm sitting here and I've been nonstop watching it ever since Saturday because I've had this cold. I was just eating soup. I couldn't even eat turkey. But anyway, so I think here's my, I want to pass it by Rick too. Like, you know how we have this transgender community and they always want peace and rights. They want these rights. So I think we should write the Minister of National Defense, and I've written them before and got results. Believe me, I got results, and got something really changed in history. But so I'm thinking we should all Canadians should write the Minister of National Defense and say, well, we have transgenders in our military now, and let's give them the opportunity, and let's give Trudeau the opportunity to have peace talks, and let's fly them in to Gaza. We can parachute them in and give them like rainbow colored helmets and rainbow colored combat vests, bulletproof, and maybe red combat boots, not high heels, because it wouldn't land well on rooftops with high heels. And then let them land, and then let Trudeau initiate peace talks in the Gaza Strip with the Hamas. What do you think? What do you think of that?
I think I wouldn't even bulletproof jackets. It's a waste of money. You're being nice.
Well,
You're being nice now.
At least give them a rainbow helmet. Come on, we have to give them a chance of survival, right? You
know what's funny? What you said earlier, 2 seconds ago about you're watching the news all the time. This
Yeah.
censorship bill that Trudeau passed, believe it or not, Rick, I would not even know about what's going on in Israel if it wasn't for your show, Rick. And that's no word of a lie. If I turn on Global News on the hour, I'll catch it that way. But I don't have CNN, I don't have Fox News, I don't have any of that, so I'm oblivious to really what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, I go into Rumble. But I don't know what's happened in my YouTube, but now I'm getting all sorts of feed now that I never used to get, and that has been censored. But now I'm becoming uncensored. And the helicopter did fly over my house, and it stayed hovered for quite a while. So I don't know what's going on, but I'm getting a lot of news that a lot of people aren't, I think. It's really weird. I can't explain it.
Yeah, I'm getting none on my end, really. I'm not. I would not even know if it wasn't for Maverick. I wouldn't even know 2 days ago about Israel.
Really?
100%. I'm not joking.
Yeah, and
Well,
it's not only that. It's not only the censorship. It's the way media is being, the way mainstream media is reporting this stuff. That leaked email from CBC today, showing that they're directing reporters to not describe or not use the word terrorist when talking about Hamas. It speaks volumes to me. That really is reflective of what the CBC position on this file has been for a long time. You see that word being used by other media outlets, but you can see how each of these outlets has their own bias, and that leaked memo shows that they're trying to craft the way that people think. It doesn't matter what the truth is or what reality is. Those reporters over there, they have shackles on today. They're not allowed to use that word. Even if a politician, it says in there, even if a politician used the word terrorist when talking about Hamas, they're supposed to provide additional context. In other words, if a politician uses the word like Joe Biden did tonight, they're supposed to basically kind of soften it up and deflect on that. You see, that's really what that means. It's to make it seem like they're not really terrorists if they use that word. I don't know, man. Like that's a lot of editorial control.
They're afraid.
Yep. Yeah.
They're in fear because of retaliation. Like I said, these people got 21 virgins waiting for them at the pearly gate.
Yeah.
They want to die. It's part of their religion, right? So, and they knew this when they opened up immigration and let these people in. Now, unfortunately, I'll never fight for this country unless the war comes to my doorstep. And I don't care if you're Israeli or Palestinian or fucking Polish or Ukrainian or what. You bring your shit to my doorstep, and that's when the game's on, like Donkey Kong.
Yeah. Here.
Right. So you'll never see me sign up. Okay, I got to go cook my hot peppers. It was nice having the 1-800 chat line with Ricky Walker and Dan Pam. Love you guys.
Okay. Thank you, Leo.
Too.
See you.
I Leo. So I looked up. I looked up on Rumble. War in Israel, and that was Saturday. Stuff started coming in on my TV on like 7 o'clock Saturday morning, or 9 o'clock, I guess. And I was going, what? And I saw these parachutes coming in, and they're landing in a field in Israel, and the people just start mowing people down. They're shooting and killing them, and people are running into crop fields and running into bushes and hiding. And then these videos came up where dead people were shown in the streets and them shooting at cars. And their one video on Rumble showed a mother and her husband and 2 kids, and the teenage daughter had been killed already. And they were just lying on the floor waiting for it to pass.
Wow.
And they had family members, well-armed family members, and they were inside the house, but no one came by after that, and they managed to survive. But what's going on is a crime against humanity. And I don't care if they're
It's a
terrorists
war crime.
or if they're
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care how victimized one group is or the other. I don't care about all the politics. I'll tell you this. I will stand against that any day. It doesn't take, any kind of, there's no valor or honor involved in having some guy armed to the teeth with a machine gun and bulletproof or body armor, fly in on a parachute, land, and then start mowing down women and children. I
don't care where they come
There's
from.
no justification for that. I'm sorry. Nope. Now, I'm not saying that Israel isn't guilty of a lot of bad things too, but I will not sit in this chair and endorse in any way, or even look away and pretend that that didn't happen, because that is wrong. That is a war crime. That is horrific. That's cowardice. Anybody that would do that, they're just straight up murderers. As far as I'm concerned,
they are murderers.
That's murder. That's not an act. That's beyond an act of war. That is a massacre. Those people weren't. They were helpless.
Netanyahu is calling them animals. No, they're not animals. The animals have better qualities than that. They are demonic beasts that do that sort of thing. Demonic. They're possessed. And they even had one guy with a little adorable little Israeli girl sitting on his lap, and she was looking up at him quite innocently, and he's touching her cheek, and he's kidnapped her from everyone else in the house, and he's taking her back to the Gaza Strip as a hostage. And then they have children in cages, 5 little boys in cages, and they're just laughing at these little boys in cages. And the boys are being very stoic. They're not crying. They're just looking. They're so young and innocent. They don't know what's going on. I mean, these people are absolute monsters, Rick. Monsters. And they don't deserve to live.
Well,
they'll never recover. They'll never recover.
You can look back at,
they'll never change.
Yeah, I won't extrapolate on it. We don't need to go into any other territory on this. It's just that simple for me. Okay. If anybody standing there with a machine gun who kills a woman and her children who are unarmed, it's just it's sick. No.
And a dog coming to check out who's on his property. I'm glad you didn't show that shooting, because I would have really been upset. I've seen enough this weekend. I've seen enough. But I sure would love that reporter. I sure would love that reporter's job, man. I wouldn't be afraid. She's pretty stoic. She jumped, but she didn't jump high. She didn't panic, and that's the type of reporters they're going to need over there now.
I'll tell you something else. I'm going to go a little bit further too, Pam. I will tonight.
What's that?
I'm going to go a little bit further. There are a lot of journalists out there who are, for instance, oh my God, there was Nazi found in Parliament in Canada. Oh, we need to, root them all out and, just get the smelling salts out. Like this is some revelation that, okay, bad. But a lot of these same journalists tonight, where are they on this issue? Where are they when you have guys on the Palestinian side mowing people down in a massacre inside Israel? Unarmed people just shot, civilians. Where are the journalists who call out Canadian and U.S. forces, or any other army really, but especially U.S. and Canadian service personnel, soldiers who kill civilians? We have rules of engagement where we target military targets. We're bound by these rules. which are self-imposed largely, and also by, you know, the rules of
The
war.
Geneva
Right.
Convention.
We're not supposed, we don't target civilians. We target military assets, military targets, other soldiers, right? That's what we do. When we deviate from that, we are held to account, and we hold ourselves to account on those fronts. We absolutely do. And the journalists hold us to account. But a lot of those same journalists tonight are sitting there with blinders on. Oh, no, nothing to see here. Oh, you know, taking a side, just taking the side of Palestine.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I'm going to call out both sides for the bad things that they've done. I'm not taking sides on this, but that is wrong. It's wrong. And I'll tell you, it speaks volumes to me about where these journalists really stand ethically, journalistically, what they're really about. The more I watch them and the more I see where they come down on issues like this, the more I see what their political stripes really are. And I'm uneasy. I'm not comfortable with it. It makes me really, really uneasy. This is wrong. And I'll call it out every day. Anybody that just murders women and children in the streets, and then, you know, but then they're portrayed as, you know, they're the victims. No, I don't think so. No, there's no justification for it.
And that one journalist who showed tonight with the blue helmet and the blue vest, the young woman, though, I've seen her on a station called I-24, so I don't think she's CNN. I don't know where she comes out of.
Well, she's from Al Jazeera.
They need more.
It was obvious in Al Jazeera feed. I'm not familiar with that particular reporter, but yeah, it was an Al Jazeera feed.
Yeah, but I mean, at least he was showing the other side. Like our journalists are just, oh, poor Palestine, poor Palestine. They don't realize that, hey, there are innocent people being killed in Israel right now, and they don't report that Hamas took the elections over in 2006 after Bush promoted that they have elections, and then Hamas got 44% of the vote. They won on only 44% of the vote, and then they said from here on in there will be no more elections in the Gaza Strip, and so 60% of the population, or 66% of the population, did not approve of this party being voted in, but yet they have control, and now Israel is striking back, and they're trying to preserve the lives of the population there in the Gaza, because they know they didn't vote for these Hamas people. But Egypt warned Israel, and why didn't Israel listen? And why did Israel take down the shield of their Iron Dome?
Well, that is another question, and there are a lot of there's a lot of theories, speculation. We'll probably have more to say about that over the next day or so. Not sure. Something doesn't feel right. Listen, Pam, I better move on because I've got calls stacked up, and the clock is a ticking here, and we've already been into this one for more than 10 minutes.
Let's put Turbo in rainbow combats and parachute them into Gaza.
Okay, there's a plan.
For peace talks, of course. All right, dear. Bye-bye.
Thank you. See you, Pam. Okay, who do we have up next here? Go ahead. You're on the air.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Didn't pick it up tonight?
Nope. No name on the screen. Hello, Chris. How are you?
I give up.
Okay, you keep.
I'm good. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
You keep using Bobby. It'll show up. Next time.
Okay. That's so weird. Anyway, did you have a good Thanksgiving, Rick?
I did. It was very nice. Yes, with my
family. It was good. You know, all this erupted over the weekend. This is I can't even I've seen a little bit of the news last night, and it was pretty horrific. And there was a guy in Edmonton, a young man, and his grandma. He had just visited her 3 weeks ago, and you know, they stormed into her house, and he was so broken down in the news last night. I mean, you're seeing these kids being kidnapped, and I suffer post-traumatic stress. So this just intensifies things because you get worried now. It's like, oh my God, what the hell is actually happening in the world now? Like this is, I don't know, I almost think it's just a theory, but could this all have something to do with this Agenda 2030? Is there a reason all this crap is happening? All these protests and wars, and do you think it could be all government-led somewhere along the line?
It's absolutely all connected. There's history to this that goes all the way back to World War II, especially, and then linkages prior to that, and the League of Nations, and all of that stuff, and then it flows right up into the creation of the World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization, all these globalist entities, and the organization of all these globalist politicians and bureaucrats worldwide. It's all connected. Of course, it all is.
Yeah, I kind of thought it was, and these Palestinians are out on the street protesting, and they look pretty violent. From the protests you were showing, even the one in Toronto there. You can be sure somewhere along the line this week there'll be one in Ottawa. And like Leo said, of course, the envoy's there. And I don't know how that's going to play out because, they're still, I don't know, I'm still seeing things that I don't like about what's happening down there. They seem to be taking up more occupation. But anyway, the main reason I called in was I thought Leo was maybe still on the line, but I guess he hung up, right?
Yeah, he's gone.
Because I wanted to question him about something. So, the other night when I called in and I said, we should at least give Leo a tent.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Well, when he lives on the street homeless for a week or two, yeah.
Right. So, but then he came on and he said something, I don't know about this, Chris, and why would she not want me to have a tent or something? And I felt like all of a sudden, I was a bad person. So I thought if he was on, I could have clarified that with him, but maybe you can clarify that with him because I was like, I'm all for what he wants to do. I'm just saying a tent would be a good idea than sleeping under, a bridge.
Well,
but I don't know if he took that the wrong way or if he didn't hear it right or so it kind of upset me, right?
Well,
a little bit.
I'm going to put it to you this way. He has to be on the street with nothing. He has to be homeless. If he can get a tent somehow, if someone gives him a tent, that's okay. That'll be allowable by the rules that we have to come up with. He's allowed to have one, but we don't give it to him. He just goes and he starts off on the street, basically in his underwear, and he's homeless. And then what he does after that is he can do what he wants, but he can't get a job because he has to remain homeless for the duration of the exercise. So if he's on the street and he's donate me a tent, and then somebody gives him a tent, he's all set.
Okay. Maybe then I misunderstood because I thought we were helping him by starting him off on the right foot, but I didn't realize he had started off with nothing.
Just homeless. We're gonna say that.
Okay. Well, Lee, I tried. If you're listening, I tried.
Yeah.
Anyway, no. I'm not going to take either side on this war either because. Bad things will happen on each side. I just think there's just so much happening in the world. And I guess, like I had someone say to me yesterday, we should be thankful, we still have roofs over our head right now. We have food on our table this weekend. But, that can change in a heartbeat, right? Mm-hmm. Like it is really, I sometimes I just have to weed out of stuff because it's really over dramatic. And the news, how they always make it look 10 times worse than probably, they're showing you things 10 times worse than probably what you should be seeing. I think a lot of stuff shouldn't even be seen. Yeah. It's traumatic. It's traumatic for families. It's, for the world. And I agree with your other caller. These people they're not even humans. They're monsters. There's no doubt about it.
Certainly monstrous. I'm always reluctant to characterize or describe any person as a monster, even when they commit an atrocity like that. And the reason I say that is I think in order to get someone to do something like that, they have to go through some sort of mental conditioning, right?
You'd have to. How do you Because how can you just go in and just take out a family, like kids and children and
something
you know, like,
turned them into that. There's still
yeah.
no excuse. They still have to be held accountable, right?
No.
But
Yeah, they
in
do.
my view, they're still human beings committing acts of evil.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
And I just hope that, you know, somehow I think Canada's going to get dragged into this war, the same as, well, obviously the States. I mean, we're all going to somehow get dragged into this, and I'm praying that we don't. But I just have a feeling if it's all part of this Agenda 2030, everything's playing out as obviously as they're planned. And sadly, people, you know, they don't care about the people that are getting killed. They don't. Like, they just don't. And it's just unbelievable. I don't think I've ever seen the world in such chaos ever in my life.
No, this is the worst it's ever been, I think, short of a World War scenario, right?
Yeah. And I really feel that that's coming. I'm with you. I really believe that we're getting closer and closer and closer to
well,
a world war.
Forget. We don't realize here in Canada and in the US, you know, we can't relate. We have been here before. It was called the Second World War. And before that, it was the First World War.
Yeah.
So these things have happened before.
Yeah.
And we are probably getting dragged in. Well, we are already being dragged into it again because we got involved in that war in Ukraine. Never should have been there.
Yeah.
Never should have happened.
That's right.
Didn't have to happen.
And you notice, and now you notice you're not going to hear too much about that Ukraine one, because now this one, which to me looks pretty bad. I mean, so now we got two wars going on, and are we going to hear less about the other one now? And now, you know, it's just it's crazy. Like I said, it's just unbelievable crazy.
I think we're going to
I don't even know what to say sometimes.
I think you're going to see escalation. I think you're going to see, you know, you've got Ukraine. Now you've got this conflict over here. That's going to inflame things even more. You're going to see Iran get more involved. And then you're going to see, you know, Lebanon. Well, you're going to see Lebanon already. And then Iran. And then you're going to see other countries like maybe even Pakistan get involved. And once that happens, then you're going to see, you know, where does Russia come down on this stuff and who supplies weapons to whom? Yeah. And then you're probably going to see something else happen that's going to, you know, spark even further escalation. I'm really fearful of where this is going.
Yeah.
This time it feels different, even different than it did in 73. You know, when, you know, 50 years ago on the anniversary of the conflict then. And it's interesting, you know, I look back at that, and that conflict in 73 erupted. The Israelis had intelligence prior to that. They knew that it was going to happen, and they wanted to make sure that it was clear to the world that they were being attacked, not that they were the attackers, because they need public support internationally. This time around again, you know, this is a major attack within Israel. They're being accused of some sort of maybe a false flag or whatever it is. It makes me wonder if this is more of like a Pearl Harbor scenario, which you know, there is a conspiracy theory that floats around that where, you know, the U.S. allowed to happen in order to provide justification for ending the Second World War. Right. So I'm wondering if that's the kind of they're dealing with here, or if it's something else. You know, people on the other side, the Palestinian side, suggesting maybe that Israel, I don't know, maybe even went so far as to do this themselves. I don't think so. No, not on this scale. Not like this. But did they just kind of turn a blind eye and let this happen? That now they can go in hard and claim even more territory? Maybe. I don't know. That's a possible scenario. It's who knows these days. I don't even know what to believe when I'm looking online anymore, Chris.
I know.
Is this video authentic? Look at what we were doing tonight. Looking at that video, I was like, is that real? Because somebody in the chat said, no, it's fake. And now I'm analyzing it. And you know, it's real, but whatever.
Yeah. It looked pretty, and I've seen that report before where reporters are standing on balconies and something will blow up behind them. And I mean, you see that. I mean, that they do that. And personally, myself, I wouldn't want to be a journalist doing that. But they have to they do what they have to do, right? So she sounded pretty shaken up after that. Like I'm surprised that she even continued on with that. But yeah, kudos to her for doing that. Like, it takes a lot.
That's right.
All right, Rick, that's all I have to say tonight. But I hope we got that cleared up with Leo, because I didn't, I guess I misunderstood. I was just trying to help the guy out.
Okay, thank you, Chris. See you.
All right, have a good night. Talk to you later.
And here's another
Bye.
one of our freedom callers. Here's John. Hello, John. How are you?
Freedom rocks. Yeah, Rick. What do you call a turkey after the day after Thanksgiving? Lucky. Yeah. Anyway, what are you gonna do? I live on the Shepherd Line, and when I go downtown, I always take the subway because I hate parking on there, and it's all Israel, Palestine. They get on the subway. It's packed. Yeah, it's all. Yeah, that's their district, eh?
Yeah.
All the way down to Mel Lastman Square. I felt like going down there tonight with a big poster. Free flights to Israel and Gaza. Free flights, everybody. Hey, that's, I got nothing against them protesting. At least it's peaceful. No arrests. No violence. It's just mouth. That's freedom, right?
Yeah.
But it is Canada. You wouldn't see them supporting Canada, that's for sure. The next thing you're going to be hearing is death to Canada, death to Canada. If we support the Palestinians, I don't know.
Well, they're not happy with Trudeau. That's for sure. We heard that tonight.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I don't know, John.
It's this whole world is fucked. and you can Google it. I sent you some sites, but Israel, they harbor pedophiles there. If in the States, if you get charged with pedophile, these guys are arrested. They're on bail. They go to Mexico and they take a flight to Israel, and you can't touch them. You know how many pedophiles are in Israel? That's the land of the pedophiles.
Well,
there's thousands of them there.
Oh.
I don't want to get into it too deep. You can just Google it if you don't believe me. But
I know I've seen reports like that. But you know what, John? I'm not sure that a lot of that stuff is accurate, and a lot of it is anti-Semitic.
Oh, it's accurate. It's accurate.
How do you know it's
accurate?
accurate?
It is.
How do you know it's accurate?
I've heard it from Israeli people. They've told me. Yeah. I'm telling you, I don't want to say no more, but there's other stuff I don't even want to talk about. It's disgusting.
See, because in my view, a lot of that kind of talk and the stuff that I'm seeing online about it, it's really Nazi-like. It's fascistic and it's anti-Semitic, so it's designed to make people hate the Jews. That's what I see when I look at a lot of that stuff, quite frankly, and there's an increasing amount of it. So I'm not so sure that it's accurate.
Today, another guy, Hollywood director, producer, I don't know what he escaped. He went to Israel because he was charged with pedophile. Went to all these people are getting raped, young women, young girls and stuff. They get life in prison. So what they do is they just go to Mexico, take a flight there, and disappear. And you can't touch them. Anyhow, today another one escaped from the States to Israel. Anyhow, it is what it is, like Lou would say. So that's but I think you got to be Jewish. They won't protect you if you're not. Oh, the rabbis, holy shit, they get away with murder. They're like a god. those rabbis, they're like a god, man. You bow to them. They're like holy, man. You gotta just, they get away with everything. But I got nothing against the Jews. I work for a lot of them, and they pay quick and they pay their bills. I like working for them. I've been to so many synagogues. I do a lot of renovations, synagogues, additions. I go through a lot of them. I learn the Jewish. I like when they're praying. Sometimes they go by the prayer room, and these guys got the dreads, you know, and they're all dressed in black, you know. They're really, really hard. It's a different religion, and everywhere when you cross a door, you got to touch. There's a I don't know, it's like a holy thing you got to touch, you know, before you walk through. That's the women. They go through these. They got these. We do these. It's like a pool sort of, and they walk through it when they're after the menstruation, whatever. They walk through it. It's rainwater, and it's supposed to cleanse them and stuff. And, oh yeah.
What else we're going to talk about? Let's move on to something else. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, sure. Let's talk about Friday the 13th this week. Going to Dover Friday.
Yeah.
You should go down there. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, for people who don't know what
the only
John's
one this
talking
year.
about, every Friday the 13th in Port Dover, Ontario, it's like a biker fest thing. So, yeah, they all ride down to Port Dover. And I guess this would probably be the last one of this year because the weather
It's the only
changing.
one.
Is it the only one this year?
It's the only one this year.
Oh.
It's the only one this year. Yeah. Sometimes you have 2 or 3, but it's the only one. It's going to be packed down there. So I advise someone wants to have a good time, go check it out. It's a lot of fun. I don't think I've missed any. I'm always there. Kind of, they've changed it now. Port Dover's woke. All the politicians down there, they're all woke. It's you know, like you used to ride the bike on the main strip, and now they put her off to the side roads. They don't want you going on the main strip anymore because it gets too packed. But that's the fun of it. So, like, you know, and then they used to drive in buses and only bikes get in. Now they changed that. You can drive in there now. It's a woke government there. That's the only thing I don't like about it. A lot of cops. It's like, you know, it's like, but it's fun. I always go just to look at the bike. I like bikes. I like the bikes, especially I go early, because they come in and then they leave. They don't hang around there all day. And they got a lot of bands and music and turkey legs and all kinds of souvenirs. And it's like going down to Florida, Daytona, or out in the Rock there. It's kind of like that. It's a lot of fun, man. It's good to go.
Well, there's something for somebody to do on this coming Friday then, right?
And Halloween's coming up. That's another favorite day of mine. One of my favorite days, and it's celebration to the devil. We worship the devil on Halloween. Hey? Hey. It's I like Halloween. I like fall. I like fall. I like Halloween, and you know, it's a good time of the year, no?
Yeah, I guess it's okay. I prefer summer, of course, but yeah,
Winter's coming.
okay.
And
not my favorite time of
yeah,
year. I like the
spring.
summertime.
You like the hot weather. I can't stand the hot weather. The only thing I like about the hot weather is the beach. Like beach watching.
Here, John, I've got some video up. We're going to roll here now of a clash between two sides in this Israel-Palestine war.
Where's
protest in
this?
Cambridge,
Where's this, Fido?
Massachusetts today. Here we
Skyfall in
Oh,
the
that's
air
in
over
the States.
Cambridge tonight, where hundreds of pro-Palestinian marchers took to the streets earlier. There were opposing rallies. Let's get to News Center 5's Sean Chai. He joins us live from the ground right now. Sean?
Yeah, rally just ended up here. Several hundred people, however, did march through the streets and ended their rally right here behind me. But earlier, almost 1,000 people gathered at Cambridge City Hall, two different groups shouting each other down. Several hundred people showed up to a rally at Cambridge City Hall in support of Palestine. Their message was Palestinian statehood in the wake of this escalating conflict in the Middle East. But they were met with about 50 people supporting Israel, shouting them down from across the street, calling the violence from Hamas over the weekend and civilian deaths terrorism. The Palestinian supporters there do not see it that way.
Any deaths are tragic, and we need to understand that the forces that are driving this conflict in the first place are coming resolutely from the U.S. government's support of the Israeli apartheid regime.
Clearly not seeing eye to eye even here at home as people continue to shout each other down. The pro-Palestine rally, of course, then moved through the streets, several hundred people marching down the street, carrying signs. But back out here live, obviously, the rally is now wrapped up. Police were on hand throughout all of this march, and there did not appear to be any issues. We're live at Cambridge. Sean Chiabat, WCVB News Center 5.
Sean, thank you for that.
All right.
Nobody got arrested. They never mention about arrests, and it was peaceful, just shouting. Not like, but it's going to escalate, Rick. I can see this thing escalating big time.
Yep.
You know, the funny thing is, the leader of Hamas doesn't even live in Gaza. He resides in a place called Doho or somewhere. It's like over 2,000 kilometers away.
Yeah.
So they just take orders, over the phone or whatever they use.
Yeah.
There's nobody there, but it's gonna get worse. I can see this escalating big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
I'm worried about that.
Yeah.
See where she goes.
It's gonna happen. This is a big one. You know, in the Bible, I think World War III or something, or it says the end of the world is gonna start from there, from that part of the world. That's what they're saying, eh? Yeah. And all it takes is Iran's got nukes, man. You know what I mean? And all it takes is one of those, and then next thing you know, Israel's got nukes, right? Oh my God! You're gonna wipe out Israel. There's a lot of people there. They need more land, eh? There's so many people in Israel. It's they have to expand. So there's only two ways: either take the land from somewhere else or wipe the people out. You know, the population. I don't know, but there's a lot of people in Israel. I don't know what the population is there. I'm gonna have to research it, but I think it's pretty high. So
9.3 million.
9.3, and it's packed, eh? Like Israel's a small country. Not that big.
Well, listen, John, I'm going to move on because it's getting late, and I've got another caller here. So thank you, sir.
Right on, Rick. Talk to you again. Bye.
Okay, take care, man. All right, here's, I'm not sure who this is. Go ahead. Who do we have?
Hi, Gary.
Hi there.
Hey, well, that's good. We're on, Rick. And I got to tell you, first of all, you're a great guy. I've been listening to you for quite a few years, and I've never called in. And I like your show very much. And you know, all the callers that you have are great people too. And I'd like to see more variety of people. There is others that are out there
Yeah.
that could surely help your show. Do you, Laura Lynn has a great show. You know Laura Lynn.
Laura Lynn Tyler. Yeah.
Everybody knows Laura Lynn. Yeah, everybody knows. She has a great show. She shows all this stuff that you do. You do the same thing, and I appreciate that. And the fact is we need to find solutions to all this, right?
Sure enough. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But we never, many shows, and I respect them all, we never talk about solutions.
Sometimes we do here. Sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, at times.
Yeah.
At times.
Yeah.
I must admit, but I don't know what the solution is. I don't have the answer for sure. And I just think that there's a lot of intelligent people that do call into your show and others. Combined, they have the answer.
Perhaps. We've talked about the Constitution. I've talked about on the Canadian side, the need to revise the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Section 1 has to come out so that they can't do a run around it to take our rights away. I still have some faith in the system. Other people don't. I talked about that. We have talked about solutions. I even opened up a conversation the other night asking people to design their own version of a future city as an alternative to a 15-minute city. So we did go through that exercise the one night. So we do discuss some things in a positive way, right? So yeah.
Yes, and I appreciate that. I was listening to that as well. And I think there's a lot of great ideas out there, but how do we apply them? And the one thing that I noticed myself, I don't know if it's true or not, but I just suspect that we're not applying the law.
Yeah, certainly the legal system is one of the captured institutions that we have out there. No doubt about it. There is, the courts, the way the judges come to decisions. It's always a reflection of what the community standard is, or the Overton political window. Where the public opinion is on a set of issues. And so, like, even the decisions we got out of the courts during the pandemic with regard to, mandates and lockdowns and things like that were reflective of the level of public fear at the time, and also the level of authoritarianism that is being exerted upon our system and the people by our government. So the court system, we need to make revisions to prevent that kind of coercive influence from being applied by government into the court system. Can it be fixed? I believe it can be. It's not an easy thing to do, but I'm still optimistic that our system can self-correct given time. The people will assert themselves when things get bad enough. I don't think it needs to go down the path of anything violent or anything like that at all. If people can still rise up and vote their way out of this, I really do believe that, especially in Canada, where we've seen changes in political parties over the year. I mean, even the Conservative Party that we have today is not the Conservative Party of the past. It's a new incarnation of what the former the Alliance party was, and before that, the Reform Party. And we've seen the rise of different parties over time, especially on the Conservative side. So change is possible, and even more so in Canada than in the United States. I believe, and I'm sure that the chat right now is going crazy with people saying, no, he doesn't know what he's talking about. It's beyond repair. But it has to be fixable, because the alternative to me is just too unpalatable. Can't go there.
So all I heard there, Rick, is if we apply the laws and the rules around even conservatism,
yep.
If we apply those things, those principles,
yep.
it fixes itself.
That's right. If we let this, yes, that's
so,
exactly right.
Yes, and so we strayed away from applying those principles and laws.
Yeah.
And to fix everything is to go back to that.
Yep. Simple as that. And I say that it's a whole lot easier to do that than it is to try to than it is to like tear it all down and then start from something fresh, totally new. Because I'm afraid that if we go the other route where we allow the system to be torn down, then we'll be left, then those who tear it down will be the ones left in power. I fear what they will bring forward, because as you just pointed out, I'm not hearing solutions from them. I'm only hearing complaints, what they don't like, what they want to get rid of, but they're not really being clear about what it is that they want to replace it with. With this, I know what we would get. We get a restored country, a restored constitution, a restored charter of rights and freedoms with some changes, tweaks, some improvements to fix the problems that we've encountered, and come up with tweaks and changes to prevent us from going down these paths again in the future, so that we don't end up here again. We can fix that. It's a lot easier to fix an old car than it is to, I think, blow it up, and then you don't know what you're going to get on the other side. It might just be a horse and buggy or worse.
Well, sometimes you got to let your old car go.
Well, that's true. That's true. It was a bad analogy.
And I think, perhaps, but at the same time, if we were to apply our laws and Canadian principles, never mind the rest of the world, let's focus on Canada.
Yes.
Our Canadian values that we grew and created this country, those values.
Yeah.
If we apply those and that alone, I think should fix things, or at least take us down the path, to revive what was Canada.
Yeah. The key is not to. Everybody's focused on this at the wrong level, as far as I'm concerned. People are focused on, we have to get rid of Trudeau, and if we can't vote him out, then it's just shows that the system doesn't work. Well, I'm sorry, but if you really want to affect change, you have to get involved at the party level. You need to get in there, get involved in a political party that is viable, and then you need to affect change from within that party to be part of the process of influencing what that party platform is, what they stand for, and then get that party elected, so that when they go into parliament, if they get elected, then they can pass new legislation that's reflective of what your values are, what you want, what the Canadian people want. We need to get the Canadian people more involved and more and exerting more influence over what the policies, the platforms are of the parties, so that they can then take that forward into parliament. You control the party, you control what comes out of government, right? That's where you need to get involved in politics at sort of that level. But people don't think of it that way. They sit back, they wait for these parties to come forward, and then at election time, they say, okay, what does this guy stand for? And then they pick whichever one they want to vote for. But you haven't had any influence over any of these parties in the way that they form their policies. The policies formed at the party level are the ones that end up inserted into legislation. You have to get involved over there. People are trying to insert themselves in the process at the wrong point. Yeah, everybody gets a vote, but you're too far down the chain at that point to affect real meaningful change. Yeah, you get a voice there, but you got to be in over here. That's how you do it. And the problem with the parties right now, too, is that you have what's happened in Canada is that you have the neoliberal wokes who have people inside each of the parties. The far left neoliberal woke crowd. They're in all the parties. So it doesn't matter which party you go to, they're exerting their influence, even in the Conservatives, where they have the progressive wing of the party. Those are just the liberals that have come to infiltrate the Conservatives to pull the party further left. That way, they know that it doesn't matter who gets elected, they get what they want. So I've heard.
Do you see what you just said, Luke?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what you just said?
I did. I understand exactly what I just said.
Yes. Yes.
But there's a solution to that.
The truth is,
there's a solution.
Our government as a whole, our government as a whole works together. It doesn't matter who's in power. They accomplish the same goals, which aren't those of our Canadian people,
I would say,
which I love.
See, but one of the things that's easy to fix that, easy, is you need a rule that says that if you join a political party, you're not allowed to join another political party. But right now, you can join all the political parties. So that's what the Liberals do. They have their people join all the political parties, and they put people in.
Yes,
there. You look at Jean Charest. He's a Liberal one day, a Conservative the next. You could switch parties, but you shouldn't be allowed to be shouldn't be allowed to join more than one political party. You have to pick one. That's it. And then that's where you can work to affect change. But that's not the way our system works right now. That's an easy thing to change. There's just one very simple thing, right? Because I've heard people who want to affect change suggest that people on, say, the freedom side or the conservative side, that we should do the same thing. We should just join all the political parties, get people to join en masse, all the political parties. And so there has been actually an effort put forward to do that, but it hasn't been that successful on the conservative side. The Liberals do it all the time, though. But there's your solution. How difficult would that be? Well, you have to get your guy elected in there and put that forward as an issue and push on that and get that kind of change made. But that's a solution, and that's doable.
Yeah.
Easier to do that than civil war, wouldn't you think?
I don't know if there's a solution to the Canadian or any other government in the world. I think that the people that are in power to keep you out of the club. And no matter what you say, no matter who you vote for, what they present as people you vote for, what is presented to us are the same. And to how do you get past that? Because when I look at politics, I'm over 60 years old, and I've been in politics all my life since early 20s, and I supported parties, conservative parties. I worked with people pretty much all my life as I worked at my job, and I've seen the same people on either side, from the Communist Party of Canada to the Conservative Party of Canada. The words are the same. Their methods are the same. And so what I'm saying, our entire government, matter if they're called opposition or whatever they call them, they still march and clap to the same regime. They all agree to the same methods of rule, and that rule is not freedom.
Let me ask you this: how do you view an opposition member of parliament? What do you think that they're there for? Are they part of the government, or are they supposed to be opposed to the government?
Now, for me, for opposition, if I'm in opposition to somebody, I'm presenting a point of view that can be argued in a free, open conversation.
Mm-hmm.
That's opposition.
Yeah.
Where they've taken opposition is incredibly outside of those words.
I hear what you. So, is a conservative member of parliament right now part of the government or not? Because we have a liberal government. The liberals govern, but in your view, is a conservative MP part of the government or not part of the government?
I believe that everyone in government, conservative or otherwise, is part of the government.
Right.
And what I'm saying is they're all working towards the same goal, just, a different label. That's all. Just a different label. The methods and their goals are the same.
Well, I can understand that perspective, and I think that there's some truth to that for sure. We're seeing it every day. That's largely because of what I pointed out to you, just to the people here. It's because the parties have been captured by the neoliberal woke left. And that's because people generally have been far too complacent. We've been too willing to just outsource our government to politicians and just show up every 4 years to vote, because things, honestly, when I look back to, the 70s, the 80s, less so the 90s, you go back in time and Canada was a great place to live, and people were, we had issues and problems, of course, but overall people were contented. Even today, a lot of people are still quite happy to just sit around and watch Netflix. The point being, there's not if you have a content population, they'll just become complacent, and we've let it slip away. We took it for granted. We let these guys come in and capture the government. Justin Trudeau lied to the people. The liberals have lied to the people. They've deceived us. They told us they're a bunch of, philanthropic, caring, virtuous socialists. And we all ended up voting. Well, I didn't vote for them, but Canadians voted for free health care and social programs and sunny ways, only to find out that we have a guy who is really a globalist and neo-communo-fascistic authoritarian poster boy for the WEF. That's what he's turned out to be. He deceived everyone, which is what people like that do. He lied to us, and he still lies to us. They don't say it up front, and so now we're in trouble.
So we blame Trudeau. Trudeau is a face. I don't like Trudeau. I don't respect Trudeau.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got to say that, Stephen Harper, when he went into office, what was he, 9 years in office, and all the things that he signed and agreed to, all are in line with what Trudeau is. So Trudeau is just the face. All I'm saying, the Paris Accord, who signed the Paris Accord? Well, we'll look back and we're going to say Harper signed the Paris Accord.
Yeah.
So So he began that. What I'm saying is, it takes over time. It takes years. It takes decades.
It does.
So if you're a newbie, if you're 20 years old and just starting out, trying to make your way in life, well, everything's brand new. You don't realize that Israel was in trouble at 1947, doing the same thing that's happening today with Hamas. It's no different. It has been this way for decades.
Yes.
So how do we get out of it? What is the answer? How do we remove the decades-long club? It's a club that we're not allowed into.
You have to force your way in, and you have to take it back
Right.
from them.
So you said force.
Mhm.
So I know this, Rick. I listened to you for many years.
Yeah.
I know this, Rick. You don't want to use force, do you?
Not
We
that
as
kind of
Canadians,
force.
we as Canadians do not want to use force.
No.
We want peace.
Yes.
But when you say force,
I'm talking about political force.
Force. What? Okay, political force.
Yeah.
So, okay, I mean, they have the game. They're in the club. You get shut out. They pay the media off. You don't have a chance politically.
Yes, you do.
To use.
Yes, we do. We do. People
Well,
either choose to or they don't. You know what, man? Like, sorry, people want to sit here and get people to rise up. Oh, go march around in the streets and blah, 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 right? Okay. Well, there are also people out there saying, get involved politically, go run for council, go run for your school boards. But most people just can't be bothered. So you know what you get? You get what you got. That's what you get. Okay. So it's not Justin Trudeau to be blamed, it's the people themselves for being complacent. I've said it for a long time. I said it before the pandemic. I said it when I got involved in the PPC party a long time ago, with the beginning of the PPC.
Right.
I said, we let it slip away. We took it for granted. We have to get involved. That's how you force your way in.
Yeah. Well, forcing your way in through what is it that they have? It's like a wall. If you say the wrong thing or you support the wrong thing, you get canceled out big time. So is that a political move, or is that the population making that? Is it political? I mean, you get canceled. Hey, Rick, you're on the border. You can be canceled at any time. Soon you won't have to register with government and say the right words. So where do you have a chance to use your political force?
You can affect political force. I mean, I've talked about it. Like, I'm not saying it's easy, but I'll tell you, we have to do it this way, or people will die. So we're not going to go there. We're just not going to go there.
Yeah. So, I'm just saying, at what point do you break them? How do you break them? How do you affect change in a positive direction, bringing us back to what Canada was in the 60s and 70s? Is that possible? Is that broken now? Is that just a pipe dream?
No, I don't. I think it's much easier than people realize. I think we need a conservative renaissance in this country. We need a nationalistic surge. We need people to embrace Canada. We need to decouple ourselves from this globalism, and we need to put the pressure on politicians to do it. We need to get involved in these political parties and reform them from within. That's the fastest way to do it. Don't just do it at the ballot box. You have to get involved in the process. That's what we have to do. So you've got the PPC and the Canadian side, right? So
Right.
there's that, but they're not going to get elected. But you can also be involved in the Conservative Party and push back in there. Get involved. Have it go to the convention, go to the policy conventions, put pressure on the party to adopt non-globalistic policies. Canada first, if you will, okay? Put forward the interests of Canada and be unapologetic about it. That's how you do it. And you can also affect change just by getting involved in your local municipal council or even the school board. If people are upset about LGBTQ plus drag queen story time stuff being taught in schools, then go run a school board. Those are positions that a lot of people don't even want anyway. It's not that hard to get elected to your local school board. Go run, get on the school board, and then when those issues come up, you vote against them. You can debate that right there at the school board. People get upset because they say, well, the school board won't even listen. Then go get on the school board, because that's what people on the other side of the political fence have been doing. They've taken over all of those organizations, all of those political entities, right? They're in there. They control it all. So you have to go.
You're exactly right.
Get in there, get them out. I don't like what goes on with our local council, right? So support somebody, go get involved in a campaign, get somebody else elected to municipal council. Then when they vote for local mask mandates and you don't like it, your guy's going to be in there pushing back against that. And here locally, we've got somebody who's done just that, and they're already having major impact, not just here locally, but even provincially and nationally, just from some of the stuff she's been doing. It's been fantastic. And that's just one person on a local council, one small voice that is resonating in some ways, in cases across the country. So you can't sit there and say that even one person can't make a difference. One person, even at that level, can make a huge difference. It does matter.
Who is that one person?
Rhonda Jubinville.
Yeah. Interesting. And to stand up, well, what kind of backlash did they get?
All kinds of backlash. I mean, they, during the big, the one debate over the drag queen storytime stuff and the gay pride flag being flown outside municipal buildings and stuff like that, somebody left a Church of Satan donation thank you card on her desk in council chambers. Somebody had made a donation to the Church of Satan in her name. Of course, she's Christian, so it didn't sit well with her. I can certainly understand. That's an example of some of the crazy stuff that we're seeing out there today, and it's terrible. It's a terrible thing. The council was against her. They docked her a month's pay. They held her to task, said that she was violating codes of conduct on some of these things from stuff she'd posted on social media, which really didn't warrant that kind of response at all. But of course you're going to get back. It's politics, and politics is a blood sport. So be prepared when you get in there.
Indeed. Yes, indeed. Yeah. So she was. She went through the gauntlet to express herself and her values, so she gained a little bit, maybe a little bit. But what happened to her family, her entire family, and what happened to relationships that she had? Her whole life changed.
Well, in her case, I don't think so. Not so much. I think she has a lot of family support because I've, had kind of like connections with her family, her parents, even. She's got a lot of support around her in her case. So that's not the case with her. I don't believe. I think she's still has very strong, because her family is also pretty conservative. So she's good that way.
Right. She's lucky. She's lucky in that regard. Right? A lot of people lose their livelihood for speaking up, and it politically, it is it comes from politics. and you said it. It comes from politics. This kind of anger. I don't know how do you describe that? When you decimate a person's life for speaking for what they believe, how do you describe that? I don't describe it as Canadian or freedom. I describe it as Marxism or Nazism.
Certainly, we're dealing with that in Canada. No
Yeah,
doubt about
well,
it. Yeah.
yeah, we're praising our government, our political people, all of them applaud Nazism. It's in full view for all of us. But yet we as Canadians, as people that vote, not all Canadians vote, by the way. A lot of us gave up. I still vote, but a lot of us gave up. They just don't care anymore. And because whoever they vote for, you end up with the same thing. And it's terrible. It's terrible.
Well, we keep saying that. We've discussed it. I mean, I've given you, a view and a path to fixing it. The rest is up to the people.
Yeah.
So until people, I keep hearing people say, stand up, rise up, fight back, do this, blah blah blah. Well, until people,
that's not right.
But
that's not right.
Until people are ready to get involved and do the work.
You're right.
And invest, then you're going to get what you get. So, and it's not enough to just get up and vote.
I was one of those people. I was one of those people that you think Canadians did. I was one of those people that did play the political game, that did get involved, and I was pushed out because of my views, my Canadian views of freedom, and I want everybody to freely do what they want to do, but I don't want anyone, and it's a Canadian thing. I don't want anyone affecting what I want. So unless I'm pulling off some kind of criminal act, leave me the fuck alone, and my kids. But we don't have that here in Canada. Instead of health care, we got death care. If instead of sanity, we got insanity. It's just incredible that the world, not just Canada, the world has come to this place.
Well, listen, I need to wrap it up because we've been on here now with this call at 20 minutes. But thank you very much for calling in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You too, guys. Take care.
All right. And that gets us to 9:30,
Bye now,
folks. Thank you. Good call. Appreciate that very much. And here, let me just finish that. And there we go. So good night tonight, sort of, except that the stories were pretty heavy duty. A little bit on the dark side, to say the least. A lot on the dark side. Don't like it. Just a reminder that you can support the program, support the show, support the channel by donating at freedomreporters.com or alternatively at maverickdonations.com. Please like, share, subscribe. If you do subscribe to our secondary YouTube channel, please hit the notification bell, and please consider subscribing over on our Rumble channels. We need to make that grow. That's where it's at for the future. Really appreciate you guys spending the time with me here tonight. As always, a privilege. I'll be back tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On the flip side, all I have to do here is find the closer. And there it is. See you tomorrow.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.